Hello everybody, I am Hoarder Gamer, and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're looking forward to another episode. I was going to say another great episode, another amazing episode, but it's not over yet, and I didn't want to lie. So, we're going to start with video game news, and this is kind of interesting because I have pictures, because two of the most exciting words in gaming are road and map, and you put them together for roadmap. Okay, so I had to actually enlarge the screen so I can see it, so I will not be able to see chat for a couple minutes, but I'll be back there very shortly. Okay, so first up we have a game that a lot of people may have thought was dead, and thank God it is not. Here we go, everybody. Let's see here. There we go. Season 2, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Season 2. Okay? It's happening. It's happening next Thursday. So, new playable character, Mrs. Freeze. So the name they're going with is Mrs. Freeze. Okay, and melee weapon is going to be an ice axe. Now, that is something that was like mentioned and or leaked before, but I didn't know it was going to literally be an axe made of ice. I thought it was going to be like an axe, and it would have like those weird like mechanical parts, like, you know, Freeze's gun, and like have like a blade made of ice, but I didn't know the entire thing is possibly made of ice, because that's what it looks like. So we have new Infamy sets, new Notorious gear, including Killer Frost, Firefly, and Parasite. Parasite's going to be interesting because it should, in theory, remove shields or weaken enemies when you hit them with it. So that should be possibly as exciting as the Mad Hatter melee from the Season 1. Because I very much like that. That pretty much, I think, instantly takes down poison shields or all of the like poison enemies. Okay. And then we have an Elseworlds Mayhem map. Now, I'm actually going to bring up somebody today. High Ruler. High Ruler did a video talking about the Elseworld Mayhem map, and I agree with him completely, which is something I almost never say. Okay, basically, I think it should just be that you go to the Brainiac fight. Maybe there's an awesome cinema or something, even just like in-game, you know, don't go crazy with it. Don't spend a ton of money and resources, but like maybe a cinema or something, or maybe one single mission. It's 2 or 3 missions you have to do on top of the Brainiac battle. And the Brainiac battle is damn near like a raid battle, or raid boss. Very difficult, spongy when it comes to health. And the issue I see here is these might be just frustrating battles no one wants to do, yet alone do again, to grind. So Superman and Flash Brainiac fight. That could be a damn nightmare. Let's be honest, that could be a damn nightmare, but I will definitely try it out, and I'm very looking forward to trying out Mrs. Freeze. There is also going to be a new Metropolis is going to be changed over into possibly like a winter wonderland. There's also a new battle pass with some very interesting, bizarre cosmetics. It was hard for me even like to blow up that picture to see it in more detail, but stuff looks weird. Almost looks like mechanical robot suits for each member of the Justice League. I don't know, but interesting, I will say that. And then we have, that was episode 3, Frozen Hearts. Episode 4, more Infamy sets, more Notorious gear. Okay, and this time we bring in Icicle, and we bring in the Trickster, as well as Captain Cold. Now we have another fight that could be very frustrating. Green Lantern and Superman. Okay, just because I'm thinking about how those original regular fights are. So it's just something to think of. And then we also have new incursions. Now, I'm hoping that this isn't exact what we're seeing here. I'm hoping there's some new mode or incursion in Season 2, Episode 3. Because they need reasons for people to play the game. Now, don't get me wrong, I'll definitely try this out to try out Mrs. Freeze, to try out Mrs. Freeze Traversal and Melee. You know, could be awesome. I was not expecting Joker to be one of my favorite members of the squad until I played with him. So I look forward to playing with Mrs. Freeze. But one issue the game has is we need more villains, you know? We need more villains, more like bosses and stuff like that. Like, definitely. One second here. It's very important. Crinky, that's very kind of you. And I apologize if that was maybe like 5 minutes ago or something, because I had to think ahead. I very rarely use like detailed roadmaps I have to go into detail on and talk about, because I have to blow them up to see them. Right now I'm in a small window on the YouTube studio screen thing, so I gotta think ahead a bit more, I guess. But no, one issue that the seasons have had so far, you know, we've had Season 1, Episode 1, and Episode 2. And delivering story. Just about every other game as a service that has seasons does a better job at delivering story than Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which is a huge disappointment because one of my favorite parts of the main game was the story and the plot twists and everything. Here, it just seems like, you know, that's a second thought, you know? Just get out more weapons and shit. It just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. So definitely new modes, new like super villains, because obviously there's a ton of super villains. Again, I'll say it again. I'll beat it into the ground if I have to, right? If Penguin survived in Metropolis after Brainiac and Brainiac's army took over, right? And he's just like in a warehouse that Brainiac could have got into very easily. Other villains are around. They have to be. They have to be. So I just don't understand why we haven't seen more of them. Even mention of them would be cool. And then they show up a season later, you know, or an episode later. But yeah, I'm still very much looking forward to trying out Mrs. Freeze. But now, one thing that's good, I've done Episode 1 and Episode 2, which was, you know, Season 1. So I understand, you know, what expectations should be. Will I hope for a little bit more? Of course. But I won't be crushed by what it turns out to be, at least. And I'm going to guess I'll have fun playing with Mrs. Freeze, you know? I expect Traversal to be kind of amazing. So we'll see. We'll see how that's going to be. Also, I think on Friday that they should definitely not only have a blog post, okay, but they should also have like maybe a 10-15 minute video showing the features in detail of the upcoming season. I think that would be a good idea. Recently, Suicide Squad Isekai, I apologize, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that word. That caused a spike in players. And again, we can only see player numbers on Steam. So Steam, unfortunately, gets way too much weight and too much strength in the conversation if a game is successful. Because for whatever reason, Xbox and PlayStation or the actual developers do not want that info out there. So all we can go by is Steam. So it gets too much importance. But that number was up by like four or five times its usual number. So this last weekend. And all anyone can think about is that the isekai and the popularity of that affecting this. One thing too, an outfit that everyone wanted. We're going to get Arkham Knight Harley. So there will be an Arkham Knight Harley skin. Oddly enough, though, if you're looking at that roadmap that we looked at, it looks again like that's for episode 4, which would be about a month and a half after this one launches. The idea is that roughly every 7 to 8 weeks is another episode. So, roughly about 3 months total is an entire season. Okay, so get ready, everybody, because I'm going to have to pull away again from chat because we got us another roadmap. I kid you not. We have another roadmap, and that one is for the First Descendant. Okay, so 1 second here. There we go. Okay, I played the First Descendant yesterday, and I had a very good time. I like what I played. Unfortunately, today, it's been heavily hammered by server issues, and I think it's still having problems today, which is weird. I don't know if everyone heard word of mouth and now decided to play it today, and because yesterday really wasn't too bad. Real minor hiccups. But it wasn't like hours on end of issues with the server, okay? And then also, too, PS5, there's an issue of, I believe, the fidelity version of the game, where it honestly looks, as someone said on a Twitter post, and I fully agree, most of it looks like the animation in the Spider-Verse movies. You know, that takes a moment to get used to, that kind of... And it's very off-putting, because if it was like that constantly, it would be an artistic style, you know? But it does that for a long period of time, and then it goes to like 30 FPS. And it's very, very disorienting. Plus, there's also this weird artifacting on the screen, or something having to do with ray tracing. I'm not exactly sure. So right now they're saying to turn ray tracing off, and some people are even going as far as to say download the PS4 version until a fix is found. But it does play and look much better currently if you're doing the 60 frame a second performance mode. There is some graininess there, and they might be able to fix that too, but I don't know. So things are a little up in the air on that. But what I played, I really like. You actually unlock Bunny in the storyline. Everyone loves Bunny. It's all about the bunny. And you unlock her in the storyline. So she's only a couple hours away, everybody, from their first pick. Again, your first pick is either a ice mage named Viessa, Ajax, and he is like based on shields and defense. And you also have Lepic. Lepic is based around grenades and has a bionic arm. Viessa also can actually debuff enemies, so that's pretty cool too. But yeah, I played about 4 hours of it. Actually, maybe 5 or 6, because I played a little off stream earlier in the day. I very much like it. It's cross-play, cross-progression. I do have an issue with the... I know they have to monetize it, obviously, right? Because it's a game as a service and it's free to play. But some things are just goofy and I disagree with. So, like, apparently to get a coloring in order to color a skin or something like that, it's $5 per color. Now, it used to be even worse. It used to be an insane gacha system. And it was $1.50, and you didn't know what color you were getting. And for each piece of armor, you needed another. Okay? Well, now it's $5. It's one use, but you know what color you're getting. It's one use. So they really need to change that. They really need to change that. Otherwise, the cost, I think, is very affordable if you can't wait to actually earn one of the descendants yourself. However, higher level descendants, like level 10, level 15, ones that show up like and are mentioned later in the game, those are more expensive. And I think ultimates are pretty wildly expensive. But again, you can earn everything in game. So a lot of it's like Warframe, but even a little bit worse than the way Warframe monetizes. So, but here we go. Let's go into this so I can take this screen down. New Descendant Luna. So they already have like 15 freaking descendants, okay? But now we're gonna have Luna, and look how soon this is. So their roadmap, it's gonna be early August, okay? So Luna is actually music based. That's why she has a headset on, and apparently it's supposed to play like a rhythm game when you use her. So I have no idea how that's gonna be, because someone compared it to a character in Warframe, but then someone was like, no, it's not like that. So I don't know if you're actually gonna hit buttons to a rhythm or what, but it should be very interesting. You also get a new giant kaiju boss battle. They call them Colossi. And you get a new Colossus named Gluttony. So you get a brand new crazy ass boss, and you want to basically farm them and fight them with a group, and they're challenging battles. I fought the Gravewalker yesterday, and that was the first one you face, and it was pretty challenging. Velby is the character that's like, she looks like she's almost in an astronaut outfit, but she's like made of water or can turn into water. An ultimate version of her comes out, then a new ultimate weapon, and a new skin. Now, I don't know what the new skin means. I'm not sure. Okay. Now, late August, so that was early August, they're going to start a series of 3 updates, taking them up to early December. First one, story. Season 1, episode Invasion, continuing the story from where it'll leave off in the game. So basically, try to, I guess, get through the story by the end of late August. Okay, so season progression, field completion. I don't know if that means we're getting a new field, which is like a new actual biome to fight enemies and possibly some new enemy types. I don't know. I don't know what field completion means. Maybe they're adding more areas to it, and there are going to be some interesting areas. Not sure. Then we also have New Descendant and a New Descendant story. So we get Luna in early August, and in late August at some point, or actually, you know, that might be update 2 possibly, or 3, so who knows exactly. But we'll get a New Descendant again, and they're going to have their own story. Bunny has her own story this season, or this preseason, I guess you could say, the campaign. There's also going to be yet another giant boss, a Colossus, a dungeon, a new weapon, and a new Ultimate Descendant. Then in early December, we have Season 2 episode, Ancestor. So Descendants and Ancestors are 2 of the biggest words you're going to hear over and over in the game. So this should be a pretty cool season episode with some cool reveals. A mega dungeon. Possibly like a raid dungeon. So that's pretty awesome. Utility companion. I'm guessing it'll go around collecting crafting materials in an area, maybe. And probably because it's free to play, expect some cost associated. Expect that to be like $5 or $10 or something. I don't think that'll be free. Season progression, a new Descendant, and again, a more Descendant story. So they want to let us know about the Descendants. They want us to see their backstory. They want to take us on adventures with specific Descendants, which I think is awesome. I think that's a really cool idea. I wish the Joker would have had that in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Season 1. Some actual really cool, you know, missions where you're with the Joker, he's narrating, he's taking you to places and stuff. Story-based. But again, issue with story in that game. Also, again, another new giant boss Colossus, a dungeon, another dungeon outside the Mega Dungeon, a new weapon, new skin, and another Ultimate Descendant. So that is crazy. Crazy. Absolutely insane. Let's see. Lepic is your choice. I like Lepic. I went with Viessa. I wanted to have someone, an ice mage. I wanted someone that could freeze and do those cool abilities. So I really wanted that. It is not pay to win, thank God. That's one feature it has. It's player versus enemy, PvE only. So no. Now there are shortcuts, and there were in Warframe as well. Like I said, if you want to get that Descendant that you want, just like you wanted a frame in Warframe, you can pay to get it early instead of earning it. But you can earn everything in-game. Now, I'm still trying to find out if you can earn the different coloring for the armors and stuff. I don't know about that yet. I like explosions as well, but I also love it when I can like speed myself up a little bit and leave an ice trail underneath enemies that partially freezes them. Also, she has this cool thing where she puts out an ice storm and she sets out where it goes exactly, and it wreaks havoc on enemies. It's absurd. There's some attacks that'll just like take out like what do you call those? Like champion or elite enemies too. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, I like the game a lot. I think it's really cool so far. I'm going to even play some more of it off stream tonight after this show. So, but yeah, I like what I've played. And aside from big server issues today, and again, some weirdness with monetization, I think it's really cool. So that's really all the gaming news we had this week. You know, that's really the big excitement. The only other thing I could think of is that Star Wars Outlaws went in gold. That means it comes out, I believe, August 28th or August 30th. I think it's August 30th. And they're done. They're done with the base game. They're probably having their team, like, you know, doing a day one patch. Probably half the team's doing a day one patch. The other half is working on the story DLC. Because again, Ubisoft is known for really good story DLC. That's why they charge for those story expansions. It's not usually like, oh, a half hour and you're done. It's usually a number of hours. It's usually well done, and there's usually like a new villain that'll show up or something like that. Hope the service stabilize. I hope so too. I hope so too. But yeah, that's pretty much all the real big video gaming news, I would say. Now, we are going to toy around, everybody, okay? And I hope you're ready to toy around with me. A lot of Sony stuff for us toying around today. First up, here we go. Jin from the Ghost of Tsushima. There's a special line of figures from Spin Master. There's going to be roughly in the 6-inch scale with a ton of accessories. The first one available for pre-order right now is Aloy, and we'll show her off in a moment. But here is Jin Sakai. And look at that. The mask is on, removable. I believe holding it in his hand. The other picture was him with the mask on, as you know, like the ghost. And I think it looks really cool. The detail on these figures is really neat. Each one has like multiple face plates for a whole mess of different expressions. And it's interesting too, because Spin Master now is going away from the 3 3/4 inch figure that they've been doing, like the real small like DC figures and stuff like that, Batman, Superman, all of that. And now they're going to this. So one of the first line of toys they did for action figures was Tron Legacy. And those were wild because they had like chips inside them, and they had like a kind of almost holographic video thing with like actual voice and sound effects and stuff. I still have like 2 of them. I have Clue and I have Tron. But yeah, now we're at this point where they're working with Sony and doing collector type action figures. Again, this will probably be about $50, but come with a ton of accessories. And it's in the 6-inch scale. Jin Sakai. And of course, it wouldn't be Sony if we didn't have Kratos and boy. And now I'm gonna have to put you through this. I apologize, everyone. Dun dun boy, dun dun boy, dun dun boy. Oh boy, dun dun boy, dun dun boy, 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 boy. Okay, I had to do that. I apologize. There's probably something wrong in my head. I don't know. But here you have Kratos and Boy with a ton of accessories. Now, they come with an insane amount of accessories. So I don't know if what you're seeing here is a 2-pack or if it's going to be two $25 or two $50 figures. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, I don't know how they're going to do this one because the next picture I have to show you includes Aloy, but you can buy her separately. But that's going to be a picture of her and Varl, which I'll show in a moment. But yeah, I really like the detail on these. If they're separate and 50 a piece, I'm not going to lie, I would just get Kratos. I would just get Kratos because I like Kratos a lot. I'm sure he'll come with a lot of insane accessories, including the talking head, whose name I forget right now, but everyone wants that. Everyone wants head. Okay, so next up we have Aloy and Varl. Again, with just a wealth of accessories, right? I think they look really good. They're going to have multiple face plates. Again, that's something you're really only seeing in, like, the Revoltech line, or, like, I want to say, what is it? The new Mezco line, the 112 Mezcos, I think they're called. So it's really cool. It's really cool that Spin Master has gotten into that. I know people are hoping for a Sly Cooper, but I don't know if they're focusing on more realistic characters. I don't know if there will be a Sly Cooper. That would be cool. I would love that. But yeah, I think these look really good. And finally, everybody, we finished toying around with Ichigo from Bleach. So there's also this character and another character, but that figure kind of looked whack. And now I'm going to find out if I pronounce that character's name correctly. Okay, but yeah, these are from McFarlane Toys. So the other ones were Spin Master, the Sony ones. These are from McFarlane Toys and Bleach action figures. And these pre-orders are live right now. The pre-order for Aloy is live. The pre-order for the other Sony figures is not yet. So who knows? Maybe a few days or maybe a few months. I don't know. But we are done toying around for the week. Now it is time that we look into the future. All the way to 1 week from today. And if you're wondering which future, the future of comic books. So first up we have, get ready for this everybody, Task Force 7. And you're probably wondering who that is. You're probably saying to yourself, that looks a little like a Mazo. It is an Amazo technically, a brand new type of Amazo, a scary type of Amazo that is able to drain the powers of a metahuman. I'll be getting into more of that later with our comic book review. Okay, that is called The Last Sun on this variant cover for Task Force 7. Task Force 7 includes Dreamer and, get this, Green Arrow. Again, working for Amanda Waller. So, okay. Dreamer, Green Arrow, and 7 Amazos. Each one modeled after a member of the Justice League. Okay? So I'm looking forward to this. Should be very interesting, especially when I talk a little bit more about them in the comic review coming up very shortly. Okay, next up we have Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian Age #2. Now in the first issue, you had Catwoman being like basically a cat burglar in high society, and she ends up trying to steal something, and it turns out the person that wanted this item is Talia al Ghul. So if you liked Gotham by Gaslight, which was kind of like a Jack the Ripper story, I think you'll like this sequel that has come many, many years later. So yeah, I really liked issue 1 a lot. I'll definitely be reading this one. Don't know if this is what will be reviewed on the show next week, but I think it's going to be cool regardless. I know Task Force 7 does sound wild. And now I actually, I'll get into it later, but I even have to look into another comic book to pick up next week when I get back to the store because of everything that's going on. Star Wars Outlaws to 26. Oh, but I believe that's the 26 if you pre-order and buy the crazily expensive version, right? Isn't that like the $80 or $90 version? I might just get the basic one. I'm not sure yet. I know you save quite a bit on the story stuff for the season, but yeah. Okay, so next up we have a comic book that you really don't get much bigger than. It's really difficult to be bigger than this. X-Men. X-Men #1. We are at the end of the Krakoan Age. It's over. And now we start again with a very interesting lineup of mutants. Jed MacKay, one of my favorite current writers, and also writing a number of different Moon Knight books. Vengeance of the Moon Knight, before that Moon Knight, and now it looks like Fist of Khonshu Moon Knight. So yeah, this launches next week. So this is probably what I'm going to review. I'd be surprised if it was anything else than this. Very surprised. But yeah, Jed MacKay is awesome. And Ryan Stegman, another one of my favorite artists, actually. He actually did a lot of the work for Donny Cates when Donny Cates was on the Venom run. And he also does a lot of excellent covers. So, great artist, great writer. X-Men 1. And it's either the week after or 2 weeks after, I believe, is Gail Simone doing Uncanny X-Men. So, looking forward to that as well. X-Men #1 next week. And finally, okay, something I talked about damn near 3 weeks ago, finally coming out next week. So, somehow it turned out Lunar Distribution had the wrong solicit information, as well as previews. The Cobra Commander trade comes out next week, finally, on the 10th of July. So I mentioned it a number of weeks ago. I was like, this is awesome. I highly recommend this. Only for me to go to the shop myself, find out it wasn't there, and just be, oh, are you getting it? Was there a damaged box? Because that'll happen sometimes, right? They get a damaged box, got to reorder. And they're like, no, actually, our date actually says the 10th. And sure enough, no one's got it yet. And it is supposed to be coming out, according to Lunar Now, Lunar Distribution Now, saying this upcoming week. So, finally, Cobra Commander Volume 1 at $14.99 will be coming out. There's a limited edition printing for local comic shops. So definitely check that out. It's really cool. It's the back of Cobra Commander, basically overseeing a huge army. It looks really neat. And that printing, that cover is only for the first printing, basically. So, and again, only the direct market. That won't be the one that like Amazon or like Target.com would have. Okay, everybody. We are done looking at the future of comic books all the way to 1 week from today. Next up, we have our comic book review, and that is Absolute Power #1. Last week we had Absolute Power Ground Zero, which was kind of like a primer for this. And oh my god, is this insane. The book begins with a couple of just regular thugs doing a robbery, and then Superman shows up. And he says basically, hey, silent alarms are silent to everybody except me. And he's floating there, you know, looking a little pompous, but it's Superman, you know. And the dude freaks out, and he's about to shoot him. And his buddy, the other thug, is like, hey, man, don't do that. Don't go crazy. It'll go even worse for us. He gets off 2 shots. All of a sudden, Superman is stunned. He goes and looks at his hand, and there's blood. You see that there are 2 bullet holes in his chest. Superman starts falling to the ground. Cut away to a number of, was it 28 hours earlier? I believe it's 28 hours earlier. Yes. And Animal Man and Animal Man's daughter are out and about. And just some regular people see them in a park and nearly beat them to death. Scared citizens are attacking metahumans out of nowhere. Why? Because of the most absurd and well done deep fakes ever. performed by the Brainiac Queen, under the direction of Amanda Waller. She has basically made the entire world think that metahumans have gone crazy and are killing people. One of the crazy visuals they show is a Hal Jordan laughing maniacally, and he's got his Green Lantern ring, and there's like a Green Lantern fist crushing people, and there's blood everywhere. It's a crazy, crazy panel, let me tell you. So the idea is that she's making people think that's happening everywhere, and it's causing this massive panic. People don't know what to believe anymore. And it's all about propaganda, and it's going to upset a lot of very far right wingers. Because Amanda Waller is basically doing a lot of things that certain politicians do. So it's very interesting to read this. And yes, one thing I'll mention is that Ollie, Oliver Queen, has decided to be on the side of Amanda Waller. Because he himself has always felt, apparently, that the metahumans could be dangerous if they weren't, controlled in some capacity. And I think he may have fallen for the propaganda. I think that's the big idea here, is that he did actually fall for the propaganda to show how powerful it is, and how anyone can get caught up in it. So he is a member of Task Force 7. Okay, so the part with Superman, luckily he's caught by his son, and he's like really in bad shape. And they start realizing something is happening where they're losing their powers. That something is 7 Amazos. Amazos all meant to look and based on members of the Justice League. They are just going around and taking everyone's power. They take Superman's, they take Wonder Woman's. It is absolutely crazy. And if you're reading Wonder Woman, the agent slash military person who is giving difficulty to Diana, he's a big part of this. And basically, Amanda wants to make sure that he's on board with everything that's going on. So, yeah. This was awesome. There were some very specific moments that I thought were great. Give me 1 second. There was a quote I wanted to mention. Of course, I won't be able to find it. I'm always afraid to put in, like, Post-its, because I'm afraid I'm going to damage the book. But yeah, basically Amanda uses propaganda in this insane way, and one thing they do talk about, like when you're looking at stories, movies, books, everything, is taking your characters, putting up a tree, put them up a tree, and then kind of like throw things at them. Like, make it really difficult for your characters. So, when they start mentioning, don't worry, we'll get your powers back, the bad guys are able to hear them talking. They've infiltrated their comms, okay? And they're like, no, you will not. Powers are irretrievable. We have had, wait for it, failsafe working with all the Amazos and reconstructing them. So they've right now set up the idea that the journey for these heroes to get their powers back is going to be crazy and arduous. So it'll be interesting to see how that pays off and how that actually works out. But yeah, if you're wondering how those Amazos are all working, they're all linked via failsafe. That's why Amanda Waller wanted the power of the Brainiac Queen and failsafe. And now also the heroes are worried because Amanda Waller has basically showed her hand and approached the American people. She showed up on every television screen and monitor and talked about keeping everybody safe from the metahuman menace. And Batman starts freaking out, realizing that she would never do this. She's always in the shadows. She would only do this if she thought that she finally won. Yeah. Absolute Power #1 is great. It's very good. It's dark. It's scary. It also is not too dissimilar from things that go on in the real world right now with propaganda and everything. So I liked it a lot. I think this could be an excellent crossover. Again, I read the previous issue, or the previous beginning of all of this last week with Ground Zero, Absolute Power Ground Zero, and I thought that was good, and I thought this was even better. Yeah, I think it's really a good story so far. Now, what I mentioned about another comic book I have to pick up next week now, I have to get, I believe it's Green Arrow 13. Because apparently that's where he decides that he's going to work with Amanda Waller. That's where Ollie makes the decision, apparently. Apparently a lot happens in that tie-in issue. So I want to read that. I want to know everything in that decision, because that's crazy. Like, I almost wonder if he's gonna be a spy, maybe, in reality. Because, I mean, that's so much like almost like Tony Stark in Civil War. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that. We'll see. We'll see when I read that. I'll make a mention of it next week. I won't review the issue of Green Arrow that came out either today or last week, but I'll make a mention of it to be like, oh, okay. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Whether you watch live, whether you watch at your leisure at some other time, thank you very much. If you want to see more of me, for whatever, crazy reason, twitch.tv/Hoarder Gamer. Right now I'm doing the First Descendant. I will be doing some Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I even did some of that last Saturday, actually. And, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at right now with gaming. So, everybody, I hope you have a great week. I hope you have an excellent 4th of July. Possibly the last one without us being under a king. And thank you, everybody. If you like the show, if you like, I don't know, the comedic elements I try to bring to it or anything, feel free to give a like and or sub. Thank you very much, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.